Late applications at tertiary institutions, universities to be exact, and also walk-in applications that are not allowed. We spoke about the use of technology in the form of the internet for applications and how it can limit some, but it actually also brings opportunity for others and makes things a little bit more easier to manage for the universities. But I'd like to now speak about a different aspect of things, the fake tertiary institutions and how you can spot those and what can be done with regards to that. Now I'm speaking to the head of Registrar at least I should say, at WITS University, Crosley. Thanks again for deciding to stay with us. I know you had said that it's not the head, it's just called Registrar, but I failed on that one. We'll get it right next time around. Carol, I'm going to ask you to speak to us about those dubious tertiary institutions, those who can't make it to your world-renowned university, being WITS. I'm sure you get a number of students who have stories to tell about how they've applied at some higher learning place that looked to be very legitimate, but found that it wasn't worth the paper that their certificate was printed on.
Ayanda, we certainly do have students coming along, and unfortunately it tends to be the students who live in rural areas, who do not have exposure to media where information like this is readily available. And we also realize that they prey on students who are vulnerable, who are desperate to get an education, and unfortunately that is the reality. So we do encourage parents in particular and learners to make sure that any institution that they're looking at has got some kind of registration with the Department of Education, because remember, they are registered private providers. And it sounds silly, but you say to people, please do your homework and ask them for their recognition by the Department of Education.
And don't be shy to. Yes. It's your right to.
Yes, especially if you're paying that amount of money. So yes, that is what we encourage parents and their learners to do.
I suppose some of them wanting to get some of their subjects accredited, and they want to know, I've done a diploma already. Is it possible for me to now do a 3-year degree, or can I do something else? And actually, they've done nothing for the past 2 or 3 years of their lives, because that certificate is worth nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You also have a number of other shall we say, courses or subjects that you do avail. So it's not just the normal degrees. I know there's WITS Plus. There are a number of night courses, some certificates, and I don't want to delve into that too deeply. I know it's not your area that you've come to discuss it today, but there are a number of avenues. So those who are looking to perhaps go into tertiary institutions that are not universities per se, not a degree per se, but want to do something maybe in accounting, or just want a little bit of an entry into science or what have you. There are a number of night classes, etc.
Ayanda, I think South Africa as a nation, we are limited by the fact that we think that post-school education is just about going to university. And that's part of the pressure on capacity of universities, because higher education, universities are just one section of what we call the post-schooling education. And I think we as a country need to get our heads around the fact that just because you don't go to university doesn't mean to say that you haven't received post-schooling education. We are in dire need of artisans, of internships, and I really believe there are opportunities, and it's time that we made sure that we educated ourselves in terms of the opportunities that are available post-schooling, not just about higher education and not just about getting to university and getting a degree.
Those who want to pursue the avenue of being an academic and going to university, space is something that you touched on. Extremely limited.
Yes. At our university this last year, just for undergrad applications, which means essentially coming from school into university, we had over 70,000 applications. We've got place for about 6,500 maximum first-year students. So it comes down to literally 1 in 10 students who have applied who actually get to register at the university.
And those who've registered, say perhaps I had high dreams of being an accountant. I realized during the December holidays, not so much, I'd like to be a psychologist. Is there any opportunity now to sort of weave their way through the systems once they have applied, say at WITS University, to change their qualification?
The long answer to that, or the short answer rather, is unfortunately not. So at our university, at WITS, we have, because we recognize that students are 17, 18, 19 years old, they really, not many of them know exactly what they want to do. So we allow them 3 programs to apply. And essentially we say to them, you can be offered, if you've done exceptionally well, you can be offered a place in all 3 of those programs. We give them a very limited period of time to respond, to accept that offer. So we essentially give them 1 week to say, right, I'm taking this offer. The difficulty then is the student who, and we are faced with that right now, many of our students who applied for a Bachelor of Commerce but now want to do a Bachelor of Accounting Science. Unfortunately, we had thousands applying for the Bachelor of Accounting Science. We can't now add them to the list. So we do try and assist them, and remember earlier on I spoke about the number of walk-ins. So we are finding a number of our applicants who haven't met it for engineering, who are trying to get into commerce. We try and assist, so we look at that on a one-on-one basis, and where there is space, that is the difficulty. Where there is space, we then try and accommodate them because they've applied to our university and we want to see them register there. But on the whole, it is highly unlikely that you're going to be able to amend your application per se. But we do, for example, in our Faculty of Science, have many of our students who may have applied for medicine, and if they have performed exceptionally well, we approach them and we say to them, we note you haven't been accepted for medicine or for physio or for dentistry. Are you interested in doing a biological sciences at the university? So, but those are students who have applied at our university.
Already, yes. So you draw from that pool.
That's correct.
So you can move some people from one department to another where there's a space or where there's a need.
Exactly.
There.
So there's limited flexibility to answer your question.
Limited flexibility, not entirely impossible though. Carol, I know there is a call center number that you spoke to me about a little bit earlier where someone could get more information or more details. Will you give that out to us, please?
Yes. Ayanda, I wanted to mention this because I'm not sure how many of our learners know about it. The Department of Higher Education, in conjunction with universities, not just universities, but with the post-schooling sector, is running what is called the Central Applications Clearinghouse. And essentially it allows a student who perhaps hasn't been accepted at one university to phone into this clearinghouse and say to them, these are my marks, are there opportunities? And I would like to share that because I think it's very useful for many of our learners. So essentially the call centre number is 0800 356 635. Okay. And it's running from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Monday to Sunday in January, and then limited hours in February. Then they can also, if they don't have access like that, they can send an SMS with their name and ID number to this number, 49200.
Okay.
And we would certainly encourage many of our learners who perhaps have left it late, who don't have any options, if they've got particularly good marks, and that particular organisation will then work closely with universities across the country to see if there are opportunities for them.
Carol, thank you so much for having agreed to stay with us and for all that information. Carol Crosley is the Registrar at WITS University. That number 0800 356 635. SMS your name and ID to 49200. We'll have to leave it there for now.